Hello everyone, very good morning. This is Mithil Singh. So today's topic is Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Okay, the first thing, what is Microsoft Azure Active Directory? So guys, Microsoft Azure AD is fully managed Microsoft service which offer identity and access capability for your application. Whether this application is running on Microsoft Azure, it's running on AWS, it's running on your on-premises system, or the application is running on other cloud vendor, right? So the point which I have highlighted for Azure AD, so just I want to give more information about this one. So as I mentioned, it offers identity and access capability for application, which means if you have Azure AD, so the Azure AD doesn't work like your on-premises AD, which means if you have multiple system here, suppose you have 2 server or 10 server or 20 server or 100 server, 1000 server, and if you want to integrate, suppose this is Windows 7, you want to integrate, this is Windows Server 2012, 16, and you want to integrate, then it's not possible. The integration of any client system as you do in your on premises is not possible with Azure AD. What Azure AD does actually, if you have any application, suppose you have a system in your on premises or on Azure, and you have installed any application, suppose Splunk, and you want to authenticate the user from Azure AD, you have created a user here, user1. You want to use this identity for the authentication is Splunk. And similarly, you have another application, suppose Spectra, running in different system or your sister consultant company. Okay, and you want same user to authenticate on the Spectra as well, right? So you can use your Azure AD. Simply, you have to what you have to do. You have to register your application with Azure AD. And the same way, you have to register a Spectra application with your Azure AD, and you can then use your USR, like whatever the user you have created in your Azure AD. You can use it for the authentication. So as I mentioned, identity and access capability for application. So Azure AD only offer you identity and access capability for the application. It authenticate the users, provide the authorization to your application. So the next question is Azure AD similar to Windows Active Directory Service? I can say no. Reason why no? Because it's not a replacement. Reason, as I say, so the integration, if I talk about this one, the integration is not possible. And apart from the integration, you cannot create the policy there. You cannot integrate the system there. You cannot integrate the printer there. Okay, and so many other things which you do in your on-premises AD or Windows Active Directory services, you cannot do on the Azure AD. So the main purpose of Azure AD is single sign-on. Single sign-on, we'll talk in the next slide. Can we extend our on-premises AD to the cloud? Yes. We can extend our on-premises AD to the cloud by using directory integration capability of Azure AD. Now the next question come in mind. Why do you want to extend our on-premises AD to the Azure AD? Okay, so the scenario is this. Suppose you have multiple different application, Splunk Cloud. You have AWS services also where you have deployed multiple resources, server, EC2 instances, okay, and SaaS services, okay, except that you have used Office 365, okay, Office 365 for the email purpose, okay, And for all these different applications, maybe you have 3, 30, 300, or multiple applications you have in your organization, right? So for your knowledge or your information, I just want to tell you, each application has their own identity and access management. So if you use the local identity and access management, that is the individual. Then suppose, as I hope you all aware, so suppose you have a Windows server in your organization, right? And this server is not joined into the domain. How do you log in into the system? So you have to use the local credential administrator, and it's a default or it's a credential what you have assigned to the system. You have to use that one to log in. And if you want to log in on this system, then you have to use the credential of this system. If you want to log in on this system, you have to use the credential of this system. And similarly on the 4 system, 40 system, 400 system, 4000 system, so you have to use the local credential. And in the same way, right, the other application also provide their own local user account. Suppose you want to log in on the Splunk cloud, you can use Splunk's local user identity to log in on the Splunk. If you want to log in on the Office 365, definitely there is a way. If you want to log in on Amazon Web Services, it provides the IAM users. You can create the IAM user on AWS and you can log in. But honestly, can you tell me, if there are multiple applications running in your organization, do you really want to create individual users on each applications? Honestly, if I say no, because this is the not right way to work, right? Ideally, what our organization does, they use the single identity to log in on multiple application based on their requirement, which is known as SSO, right? Which is known as so single sign on, right? How can you provide the single sign on facility to your user? So first of all, take an example. So as I said, if you want to log in on this system, you want to log in on this system or this system or this system, right? What do? You log in with the local credential, which is not the good. So to log in with the centralized, suppose you want to log in with this user, which is you have created on your on-premises Active Directory. This is suppose our on-premises AD. You have created this user here, and you want to log in with this user on this 4 system. So what you have to do, you have to integrate your system with your on-premises AD. Once you integrate and provide the privilege, this user can log in on any of this system. And in the same way, suppose you have multiple different applications running in your organization, and you do not want to create the local user account here. You do not want to create local user account here. You do not create user account here, right? Because creating a local user account and managing the policy, managing the password, right, and managing the permission is very hectic and very tough to do this. So for this, as we integrate all our local servers with the AD, right, and log in with the this user account, we can also do the integration of this application, the third party application. But you cannot integrate this third party application with your on-premises AD. On-premises AD doesn't have such capability to integrate this, right? It can integrate the system, Windows Server, Unix system, but it cannot integrate the Splunk Cloud, Amazon Web Services. So what you can do, you can use the Microsoft Azure AD service. So Microsoft Azure AD service basically used for the single sign-on, right? Single sign-on, and provide a capability to integrate your application with the Azure AD. So what you have to do? So you have to register your application in enterprise application. You can register all your application, which is the third party application, with your Azure AD. So once you registered your application, right? So what happened? So during the registration, it Azure AD provide a metadata. You have to download this metadata and upload and configure to your application. Once you configure your application, there are certain attributes decide based on your requirement, like user first name, last name, okay, users group membership, users email ID, okay. So these there are so many things which you can decide, right? And you can use during the integration, okay. So you integrate, download the, first of all, you have to provide the database metadata from a client side, like third party application side, which Azure AD administrator during the app registration, they use this metadata to configure, register your application. And then the administrator, Azure AD administrator, will also provide a metadata to you, which you upload to your applications, set the attribute and everything from the application side, set the permission, whatever you want. And then you can then in your on premises, right? So you can use your AD users to log in here. But the question, how you synchronize your on premises AD with your Azure AD? So for this, you can use AD connector. So there is a tool available. You have to use AD connector. So what AD connector does, AD connector basically synchronize all your users from on premises to the Azure AD. It up to you whether you want to synchronize all the users or a specific user based on the attributes and the OU. It you have to decide. So in the next topic, I'll talk about how to synchronize, how to set the synchronized policy, and which users need to synchronize and on what basis it will synchronize. So we'll talk about the next session, right? So once you synchronize, right, this user will replicate from your on-premises to the Azure AD. What happened? You already integrated your application with Azure AD, and you also integrated your AWS web services also with Azure AD, so that you can use single users to log in on Splunk and AWS as well. So what happened once you access the application? Suppose you hit to the you are trying to as a on-premises user or Azure AD user. Once you hit to the Amazon Web Services, what happened? It will check who is the sign-in authority, who provides the authentication, right? So it will connect to your Azure AD, and Azure AD provide a token to it user, right? And based on that token, you will get the access in your applications and then log in and do whatever the permissions and policy assigned to you. And in the same way, the same user, the same identity you can use to log in on your Splunk server. Okay. And in this scenario, you need not to create the local users on multiple different applications, right? Which is very tough task. So we should use Azure AD for this. Guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll request to you, if you like this video, please click on the like button and also subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.